Thank you so much, Namita. Normally she doesn't do this. This is a very clear rider.
Can anyone say no to Vikas?
That's a great news. Thank you so much. And Namita actually had to postpone one of her very important plans to be here. So really grateful to you.
My pleasure.
So, when I was actually preparing questions, I didn't know, what should I ask? Because there is just so much to ask her. I don't know how important you are for this crowd here, because they are all wanting to know, go that extra mile to really understand what should they do in terms of innovation. This whole day has been about innovation. We'll be having more speakers. Mr. Shangvi was here, again a role model. You've been such a massive force to reckon with. Tell me your thoughts about innovation. You challenge the boundaries. You've been doing multiple things. I don't know how you find that energy of really, the kind of messages that you send out. We don't have so many people doing that. So, over to you.
That's very kind of you, and innovation is a very large topic. There's so much we can cover, but I'll just tell you 2 or 3 quick things about what I feel passionately about. I think Mr. Jain, who I absolutely respect, summed it up beautifully, saying you don't have a choice but to move up the value chain. And just before that, we were having coffee and we were talking about SMA, spinal muscular atrophy, and how we are so dependent on global players, and there's just 14 crores injection, right? I mean, a child is at the mercy of a multinational and who has 14 crores. So the reality is, both from a humanitarian perspective, a nationalist perspective, a capitalist perspective, I mean, we don't have a choice but to move up the value chain, and I think the best example I can think of is SMA. I've seen innovation up close in 2 ways, or rather 3 ways. Number 1 was when I was working in the US. I was working for a stent manufacturer called Guidant. Right out of business school, I got a huge joining bonus. We were 55% market share in metallic stents. And within a year of joining the company, I was in finance. I had to do the biggest layoff that Guidant had ever done, because drug-coated stents took over. So we just saw in a heartbeat how the whole world changed when drug-coated, and I saw that firsthand. So for me, that was my first shocker of innovation. My second shocker of innovation was I was in Silicon Valley at its peak, when the best VCs and the best of innovation was happening. A lot of my Indian friends had started a lot of these funds, and I would interact with them, and I saw innovation there. I saw innovation at Emcure. I mean, my father's been a path breaker, where there is ferrous ascorbate, or some of the rare diseases, mRNA vaccine, which he was third in the world to introduce. I mean, he's always pushed the boundary. We have 500 plus scientists. I mean, he's always, and he himself, being a chemistry graduate, sits with the R&D people, and the depth he gives to science, I've seen it from the West. And now with Shark Tank, I have seen innovation in non-healthcare space as well. Of course, I've had some phenomenal, I have 60 companies in my portfolio now thanks to Shark Tank. And there are quite a few in the healthcare space which are innovative, but I've seen innovation in the non-healthcare space as well. And it's energizing, it's humbling, and it makes you feel optimistic about the future of our country. So I think when you work with innovators, it's just a beautiful way to start and end your day. So that's all I can say in 2 minutes about a very massive topic.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that we probably will come back for more on that. But again, women in pharma, you've seen a lot in your tenure, then you've also branched out on your own, enterprise. Tell us what actually triggered this big movement into your own territory. How do you want to grow it? In the morning we spoke about getting bolder, taking more risks. How do we kind of characterize that shift from your...
Let's have a show of hands about, I wear my glasses, how many women are in this audience?
Oh, we have some.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad. I mean, at least that's 15, not even 15, probably 10%. Like 15,
yeah.
Right? 10 went to 15, max 20. So, yeah, thank you. And a big congratulations to all the women who are here. But I think the bottom line is that I have been in pharma, and then of course when I was in the US for 6 years, I worked in healthcare. I worked with GlaxoSmithKline, I worked with Guidant, which then became Abbott. I have been in healthcare for way too long. And it's actually, like you say, tragedy mein comedy, you know. It's actually quite sad because I've been in meetings where we are talking about women's health, we're talking about menopause, and there's not a single woman in the room other than me. And I happen to be there because I'm the boss's daughter. So it's like, like seriously, you're going to make a product for women that addresses women's need when nobody on that team, neither from R&D, nor market research, nor branding, nor content, there's no woman there talking and there are all these men sitting there, right? Do you even understand pregnancy pain? I mean, you just held your wife's hand, that's what you've done. Sorry men, but it's different when you do it yourself, right? So I think having women in pharma, in multiple facets, is very fundamental, firstly for coming up with the right products for women. Because women's healthcare is the most neglected area in pharma. I don't know how many of you are aware, but World Economic Forum does a ranking of countries in women's health. And there are some 159 countries that are researched, and India consistently ranks in bottom 2 for many years. I've been following it for many years. We are sometimes 155 if it's a miracle, but mostly 157 out of 159. I mean, just imagine, when we are so low on women's health as a metric, that's because culturally women here don't prioritize their health, feel almost apologetic to do things for themselves. We're dealing with a lot of these things. I think the least pharma companies can do that, have a lot more women at the table when innovation and marketing is being discussed. Even on the sales, so I used to run, now I'm of course leading the consumer business, 6 months old into my new job. But when I was running the domestic business for 8 years, it was crazy because there were 5,000 medical representatives reporting to me, and tiny percentage were women. And there were genuine issues like safety. You know, doctors meet you at 11, 12 at night. Given the other responsibilities they have, it's not easy to be in a sales job for women, right? And especially in some cities where traveling at that time of the night is not easy. So my limited point being that a lot of you here are policymakers, are decision makers, can influence the future of pharma. And my one request is that we're not victims. Long shot, we're not victims, but we have a lot to offer, right? So I think we are missing out if we're not giving that platform to women to really offer all this incredible stuff that we have to offer. So I hope in my lifetime, I see the needle being moved more and more and more. I'm an optimist, but even with all my optimism, I'm 49, I started working at 21, so I've been in the industry for 28 years. And in 28 years, hand to my heart, the needle hasn't moved. Not even an inch in pharma. So, not even a centimeter. Maybe a millimeter. So my point is that I really hope in my lifetime, I see the needle moving because that will be really wonderful. Not just for the women, but for the country and for the industry.
Namita, you know, I've spoken to you several times. Your energy doesn't drop. How do you get that kind of energy? You know, every time I speak to you, there is so much of enthusiasm, so much of excitement. Even someone who is at a very low, will probably get full happiness. How do you do that? I mean, you also must be having your eyes and those, right?
You know, one of my biggest strengths. Hi Rika, I love that woman. She writes so. Rika there needs an applause. Can everyone give her an applause? I'll tell you something about Rika. Of course, I love Rika. She's one of the greatest journalists. There's another lady here. I've known her for over 12 years. She writes about women. And all her articles are they really are direct, authentic, and they touch your heart. And I have a lot of respect for the journalism she does around diversity. Thank you, Rika. And I'm meeting her after 6 years. I'm getting goosebumps. Thank you, Rika, for all that you do. Yeah, it's so lovely seeing you.
You will be having more of her because now she covers pharma and healthcare.
Oh my God, seriously? How wonderful. Lovely. So now we're destined to meet more after a gap of 6 years. Coming back to the question, one of my biggest strengths and my weaknesses has been that I'm a little too authentic. So I don't want to bullshit and tell you lies and I have this great fitness routine and I do this diet and therefore I have this bundle of energy and I'm like this absolutely awesome person. Because I'll tell you, there are consequences to being high energy too. One, I deplete myself very quickly. I give too much of myself. I'm too high energy. And very often you feel completely depleted. So I have learned very late in my life to calm myself down as well. Because if you don't calm yourself down, you go the next day to work exhausted, you become irritable, and you make wrong decisions. So very late in my life, I learned things like, I've completely stopped socializing. Other than meeting dear friends one-on-one, they come home, I'm in my pajamas a couple of times a month, I don't go out. Thanks to Shark Tank, I get 20 invites a month, either to do a podcast or to speak. I say no to everything. Because I have to conserve my energy, and so I have completely stopped going out, stopped socializing. I anyway never used to drink, that helps a lot. And I have learned how to meditate and sit in silence so that I can get that energy back. Secondly, because I feel things too deeply, I'm prone to anxiety. And everyone, our lives are the kind, we have a lot of complexity. And now in my new job, where all day I'm learning TACOS, ACOS, CAT, CDR, things that I never knew before from the digital world, there's a lot of stress because I went from managing in Emcure, I used to manage 5,000 medical representatives and about 200 people in HO. So 50 to 100 people used to report to me. And there's a playbook, right? In pharma, there's a playbook, कि इतना ही scientific advisory board, focus group, ये करना है. Now in the consumer space, that too in the digital world where I'm selling on quick commerce, Amazon and all, and that too in supplements where nobody trusts supplements. कि पेट में क्या डालना है, क्या ज़रूरत है, कुछ होगा तब देखा जाएगा, डॉक्टर बोलेंगे तब खाएंगे. It's a category creation, right? And so for me now, I'm managing pretty much zero sales with a team of 12. So I've gone from managing 50 to 100 people to 12 people, and from having a playbook to being completely clueless. And it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of complexity. Every day is a bad news. I have a lot more respect for my father than I did before because now I know what it's like to start something from scratch. But being prone to anxiety, because you're a very intense person, also needs to have a lot of coping techniques which I learned very late in life. And which is why on my philanthropy side I work a lot around mental health for children because that is a big gap in our country. Especially in government schools and especially in the bottom of the pyramid. So I think this is an area, again, you keep asking me questions. I mean, innovation is a big area, women is a big area, energy/mental health is a big area, but I'm trying to be as concise.
No,
I don't want to be superficial, but we don't have much time. Are we going to have time for some questions from the audience?
We will.
Because that's when the real authenticity comes out.
Not
they ask me horrible questions.
I'll ask
unfiltered.
One more.
Wow. Very nice. टूट गया कि बचा है?
It's all okay.
बोलते ना glass टूट गया तो lucky है.
I think that's a kind of a cracker.
Every time some superstition is there, they have to come up with a fair reason to validate it.
It's a cracker to reflect your energy into.
Oh, like when that what was the thing in the glass today?
No, so now the next one, Namita, about your venture. You kind of had everything that you could have done, 10,000 crore plus business, 50 to 100 people to report into you. Now you're starting. It's a kind of a risk that anyone will want to really know exactly where it is headed. It's a new venture. You are in a competitive territory. What triggered it? How do you want to take it ahead? We are really seeing all of the things that you've been doing, the packaging, the new segment that you are actually exploring. We've seen some massive deal also in the sector that you are actually present. Just a kind of a view on that.
Yeah, so the consumer space, I think the reason I did it is because of 5 years of Shark Tank, to be very honest. We shoot only 20 days a year. But those 20 days, we shoot 15 hours a day. And we see so many pitches. And it's just beautiful. Everybody keeps telling me, "How many saal karoge?" I said, till I have dentures and a walking stick, and till they will have me, I will keep going back. Because it's just been the best learning experience for me. Like, no CA, no business school, no work experience that I've ever done taught me the amount that Shark Tank taught me, right? So bottom line is when I met these founders, when I meet them, I dedicate every Saturday 2 hours to talking to my founders. It could be anybody who needs help. So on an ongoing basis is every weekend, but solid 20 days I give to the show. It's inspiring. and it was exciting to sell direct to the consumer. So I realized that in India nobody takes supplements, and in India anyone who's built a consumer business, even pharma, has built it the traditional way. They've built it through the stockists and the retailers and the distribution channels that have been pharma channels, and they have built it the traditional way of TV and billboards and all of that. Whereas when you meet the startups of today, they're a different breed. I mean, I don't even know what performance marketing in Amazon is, what CAC means and how you measure performance marketing and organic versus branded searches and all of that. Quick commerce, people are still learning till today what's going on and how things are moving in quick commerce. Same thing with website, they call it D2C. How you sell on the website and how do you make sure there's a science behind how you retain a customer and cross-sell to a customer. And none of this is being done by pharma companies because they're still doing consumer the old way. So for me, it was very exciting to marry something I learned in Shark Tank with my healthcare expertise. And I must say, it's funny because when I joined Shark Tank, I couldn't even speak Hindi properly because I speak Marathi very well. I think I'm a Maharashtrian at heart. I speak Marathi flawlessly, I speak Gujarati very well. I speak English well, but I've never really spoken Hindi. So on television, I had a very tough time with my pronunciations, with speaking and giving feedback in Hindi. That's of course changed over the years. But, to cut a long story short, when I started posting things on my social media, because I felt that there was a need to educate in English so it reaches more people, everyone from my father to my husband to my board members came and told me, company public ja rahi hai. This is very dicey. So far things have worked out. One wrong move you make and it can just backfire on the IPO. And what is the need? There's no need for social media. I mean, just do your work quietly. Social media is a waste of time, right? And today, when you see globally, you are the brand, the founder is the brand, the founder builds trust, and from that trust follows the customer journey. So it was very difficult for me to even explain to my own family that, in fact, my son once told me, I'm that way, I was telling him, very thick-skinned. With age, that happens. But nothing anyone tells bothers me. But what my kids tell me, there are only two people, my two boys, my Viru and Jay, my Sholay team. When they tell me something, my hurts. So one day my older son came and told me that, Mama, you're the most insecure person in the world. Because only an insecure person would want to be on Instagram to get the likes and the comments. A secure person will never want to be on Instagram. And you're extremely insecure. And you need to get off Instagram to show us you're a secure person. Right? And that hurt because I was like, this is a business thing that I'm doing. Plus I want to educate. I told him I've come up with 62 podcasts on health with the top doctors of the country. I started this 5 years back in the middle of COVID. We used to run a little skeleton team out of Taj, Land's End. Been doing it for 5 years. And for me, educating on health is a very important part of pharma's responsibility. So I thought I will educate, I will build my brand, I will sell my products, I will monetize my Shark Tank. There was a thinking behind my social media. I never thought it would be thrown at me as I'm an insecure person and I need external validation, that's why I'm on it. So for me, in life, there have been many times that I've had to go against my father, my husband, my children, to do what I felt was the right thing to do. And that has been the toughest part of the journey. The other things are solvable. CAC काम कर सकते हैं, यहाँ ज़्यादा खर्चा हो गया कर सकते हैं, Flipkart से return आ गए, we'll deal with it. But these other softer aspects of being in pharma, but doing pharma as a startup that no one understands in pharma, and dealing with all that judgment that comes your way has been difficult.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a hard task, but I'm sure the way you've been working really hard on this. So, okay.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely, we do.
We've got only 50 seconds.
No, so we'll probably have room for two questions maximum. I think lots of hands are going up. Can the mic reach there?
Once I went to the CISF, I always tell people I'm unoffendable. Seriously, ask me anything. The tougher and worse the questions, the better. Otherwise, the audience will say, same ghisa-pita nonsense. It seems like a copy-paste, right? So once I went and I say this in every talk. And usually in my talks, I leave 70% for Q&A, 30% for this kind of thing. So I went to CISF recently, and all of them were in uniform, which itself is quite intimidating. And then this very senior CISF guy got up and said, "आप कब से बोल रहे हो? आप इतने patriotic हो, भारत महान, you love your country. Then why is it that you had to go abroad for your education? And why you send your children abroad for your education? India में नहीं है क्या अच्छे colleges?" My God, that was a tough one to answer, right? And that was just one of many tough questions the CISF forces asked me, because they're fearless to another level. So, but it's fun. That's where it's fun.
Shorter the better.
Sure.
So time up हो गया मेरे भाषण में सर.
Okay, so this is Gaurav from GlaxoSmithKline. As you rightly said, you work so.
Raleigh Durham, I worked there.
Okay,
Raleigh
great.
Durham office, the research triangle.
Excellent.
One of the best experiences of my life.
Yes, it's a really learning hub, we can say. So first thing is, when, I will say very quickly, Shark Tank, because it is the only thing which every people can sit with their kids, wife and parents also. So it was really good, and whenever you say I am out, you are always clear that you are about to say that.
And इसमें मेरी expertise नहीं है, don't forget that.
Absolutely, that is true. So my question is, because the women leadership in pharma, even like I moderate in CPH, I always in women leadership in pharma, and my mentor global also, always female. So just to want to understand what you feel we can do better as men, also to encourage leadership, female candidates to come more, because sometimes they feel they are not ready. So if you
No,
can.
I think two things. One is, women actually, if you're in a table with tend to sit in the back, give them a seat at the table, push them. Sometimes they need a little push. Also, little flex policies are needed. I'm not trying to differentiate, but there are pregnancies, elder care, illness in the family where they may have to take a bigger role. But even when they're home, they will give disproportionate to the company. So I think one thing lacking in India is a little bit of the policy level of giving a little flex working to women. And it will never be in the detriment of productivity that we have seen. So I think that is one thing that we can do at a policy level. And at HR level now, you have to insist that for every vacancy, if there are 5 resumes that come to, at least 2 of the 5 should be women. So some policy changes will make a big difference. You can maybe facilitate that. I have not been very successful, but that's a different story.
Hi, Namita. Firstly, thank you so much for those kind words, and you look lovely. And we are watching all the latest episodes of your recent Shark Tank.
Thank you.
Just one question. We've been having this conversation on women and women
Many years.
for many years.
You and I have been talking about it for 15 years.
Yeah, so for almost 2 decades. Just wanted to ask you this: but when you see the numbers of women in leadership position, women in decision-making position, we are still in a 5%, 4% low single-digit rate. What is the reason? I mean, we talk about sponsorship, mentorship, and all of those things. But is it high time that women themselves take charge and march ahead? So what will be your thought? What will be your words to other women?
I think it's both. Like I said, at a policy level also there has to be more facilitation. But you are 200% right. Sometimes we are very limiting to ourselves because of social conditioning, right? We don't dream as big. I'll give you a simple example. Shark Tank, if you've seen 5 seasons, they're just 2 steady women, me and Vinita, and like 10 men, right? So I always talk to the director and I say, all women now, television is the best medium to showcase that women are sitting with men, putting crores without anyone's permission, and they're stealing deals from the men, right? How powerful is that image in the villages of India? A lot of women have been approached, they don't want to do it. Because when there are 13 cameras facing you, and when the doors open, we don't know who's coming in. It's all real time. They are scared that they may say something that will backfire, that will hurt their business. Right? So who's limiting themselves? It's the women who are limiting themselves. And even the families are against it. It's up to the women to say, like my entire family, my board, my father, my husband, my mother, everybody didn't want me to do Shark Tank. Everybody was dead against it. But at some point, you have to do it, right? So I think a lot of times women limit themselves too. So it's both. It's the facilitation at an infrastructure level and policy level, and the women, the conditioning. But can I tell you something? I meet a lot of young women thanks to my Shark Tank startups. Women in their 20s, they're a different breed. Wait 10 more years. You will see a revolution. They are a different breed. They think different, they talk different, they behave differently. I mean, it is like a tornado. And I think that in 10 years, you will see these set of women that I'm seeing go up. And it's a matter of 7 to 10 years. So till you're in my lifetime, we'll get to see it. So,
Right. So I think time's up. Really, thank you so much. You've been a tornado here also. In a good way. In a good way. Really, it's the second half, but it's all exciting here. Probably that's the reason we actually had you here. So wonderful. No, but so innovation, empowerment that we need, all of that related. Thank you so much.